I want you to understand something before I tell you what happened. This wasn't just a fence dispute. This wasn't just a neighbor disagreement that got a little out of hand. This was somebody looking at something I had worked my entire adult life to own and deciding quietly that they deserved it more than I did. And the worst part, they genuinely thought I would just accept it. My name is Danny Kowalski. 9 years ago, I bought a corner lot just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Nothing fancy. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, a garage that tilts slightly when a big truck rolls by, and a wide gravel driveway that wraps around the side of the house and opens up behind the back fence. That driveway was the whole reason I bought the place. I run a small landscaping company. Just me and one other guy during busy season. A pickup, a trailer, mowers, mulch, stone pallets. That wraparound driveway let me park everything neatly without blocking the street or bothering anyone. I kept it clean. Took real pride in it. 9 years and not a single complaint from anyone. Then the Prestons moved in next door. Greg and Sandra Preston. Mid-40s. Matching white SUVs. The kind of couple that renovates a house and immediately starts using the word aesthetic in casual conversation. They bought the old place next door, and within 3 weeks, contractors were everywhere. New siding. Black window frames. Perfectly trimmed hedges. Greg introduced himself one evening at the mailbox. Firm handshake. Big smile. Said he was excited to help elevate the feel of the street. Elevate. That was the word he used. I should have paid more attention to that word. That driveway wasn't just gravel to me. My dad helped me lay it the first summer after I bought the place. We rented a compactor, hauled stone in his old pickup, spent 2 full weekends getting it level and solid. When we finished, we stood there with cold drinks just looking at it. That kind of thing stays with you. So yeah, it meant something beyond just parking space. Now Greg Preston was the type of guy who had never owned anything with dirt under it. You could tell immediately. Everything about his property was controlled and curated, every shrub measured, every surface pressure washed. And from the very beginning he made it clear my landscaping operation did not fit the vision he had for the street. It started with comments. Casual ones, loud enough to hear but soft enough to deny. Pretty big rig for a residential block, don't you think? Is that equipment just stored outside permanently? I thought streets like this had guidelines. There were no guidelines. No HOA. That was actually one of the main reasons I had bought here in the first place. But Greg missed having one. You could feel it every time he looked at my trailer. The real moment came one Saturday evening. They were hosting a dinner party. Cars lined their driveway, 2 more at the curb. I came home from a job and found a black BMW angled directly across the entrance to my driveway, completely blocking it. I knocked on their door. Sandra answered with a wine glass in her hand. Greg appeared behind her, already looking annoyed before I said a single word. And that tight little smile he gave me told me everything I needed to know. The orange cones showed up first, 3 of them, placed right along the gravel edge near what Greg had apparently decided was the property line. Not on his grass, on my gravel. I got out of my truck, stood there staring at them for a good 30 seconds, then picked them up and set them on his lawn. Gently, no drama. 10 minutes later, he was at my door. He told me that side section of the driveway would make more sense as shared access, said they needed overflow parking when they hosted, said he had someone take a look, and that stretch actually fell within his boundary. I told him to show me the survey. He said it was being finalized. I said that means you don't have one. His smile disappeared completely. We'll see about that, he said. That was a Thursday evening. Monday morning I left for a job site at 6:30. Normal day. Big commercial project 2 towns over. I was gone maybe 9 hours. When I turned onto my street that evening, something looked different immediately. I slowed down before I even reached my house, pulled up to the curb and just sat there. Fresh black asphalt where my gravel used to be. Clean and smooth and neatly connected to their driveway like it had always belonged there, and running straight down what I knew was my property. A brand new decorative fence. Matte black metal. Sitting 8 feet inside my boundary line. I sat in my truck with the engine running for a full minute. You know that feeling when your brain tries to convince you that you are misreading what you are seeing? That feeling didn't last long. I knocked on their door that same evening. Sandra answered. Same wine glass. Same relaxed expression like nothing unusual had happened that day. I told her calmly and clearly that Greg had paved over my driveway and fenced off my property without my permission. She took a slow sip and told me Greg had it surveyed, that the portion fell on their side, that they had simply improved it. I asked to see the survey. She smiled and told me to check my own documents. That night, I pulled every paper from my closing file. Deed, plot map, official county survey with stamped corners and iron pins. I even walked the boundary with a metal detector and found the original markers exactly where I remembered them being. Greg had gambled that I wouldn't fight back. I called him the next morning and gave him 48 hours to remove everything. He laughed, actually laughed, told me if I had a problem to call a lawyer. So I did. I hired a property attorney named Carol Briggs. No nonsense woman. She looked at my documents for 10 minutes and said simply, "They built on your land. We file." But legal cases move slowly, and while the paperwork ground through its process, Greg treated that stolen strip like a trophy, parked his white SUV on it every single morning, waved guests onto it on weekends. I heard him say once, "We expanded." I stood behind my fence line watching that every day, and that is when the idea came to me. Because here is something Greg never considered. The land was still legally mine, which meant I could still use it, every single inch of it. The court date came on a cold Tuesday morning in early spring. Greg walked in wearing a suit that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. Sandra sat beside him. Posture perfect. Expression tight. He didn't look at me when he sat down. When he finally did, it wasn't anger I saw on his face. It was annoyance. Like I had inconvenienced him by not giving up sooner. His attorney argued that Greg had relied on a reasonable boundary assessment before making improvements, that I was a hostile neighbor running a disruptive commercial operation that lowered the quality of the street. Disruptive commercial operation. I mow lawns for a living. When it was our turn, Carol didn't raise her voice once. She simply placed the certified county survey on the judge's desk. The original deed. Photographs of the iron boundary pins. Timestamp showing Greg's paving crew working while I was away on a job site. Then she asked one question. "Your Honor, may we see the survey the defendants relied upon before construction?" Greg's attorney handed over a single sheet of paper. It was not stamped, not certified, not prepared by a licensed surveyor. It was a hand-drawn sketch with handwritten measurements based on what appeared to be a satellite image printed from the internet. The judge stared at it over his glasses for a long time. He looked at Greg and said, "You poured asphalt and erected a fence based on this." Greg tried to say they had acted in good faith. The judge said good faith would have involved confirming the boundary before construction. The ruling was complete. Full restoration. Fence removal. Asphalt removal. My legal fees paid entirely by Greg. His face went completely white. 30 days later, my gravel was back. Every single inch of it. Drop your city in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.